Hey, hello and good evening to all the mothers. I know you're quite excited about today's topic. When we posted the pre-buzz, you guys were quite excited that today we are going to talk about stress and anxiety, not just in adults, but in children. As you rightly guessed, today's topic is how to manage stress and anxiety in children. So, guys, as you all know, it's a very, very critical topic. And for this specific live, yet again, I bring to you experts from Billabong High International School. Every Thursday at the same time, I bring in these experts such that they can guide parents like you and me. So here we can tune in again next Thursday for another session. But before we get onto our topic and help you introduce to the experts, I want to talk to you about Billabong High International School. BHIS, which is Billabong High International School, has been founded 15 years ago, and today it is one of the leading K-12 schools in the country. Aspect of the philosophy of the school is that it teaches students how to think and not what to think. Hence, it is known as the school of thought. And here we begin by inviting our first expert, who's a constant here and quite an amazing expert, and my favorite, Dr. Natasha Mehta. Dr. Natasha Mehta is a head of school development for Lighthouse Learning. In her last 30 years of career, she has been an educator, school leader, and has also authored around 52 books for science learners, both for national as well as international boards. She believes that children today are quick learners and need to be given the opportunities to develop their versatility. So here we have Dr. Mehta. Welcome, Dr. Natasha Mehta.
Thank you, Neha. Good to be back again. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. There was a technical glitch. I'm sorry for that. And without wasting any more time, guys, let me jump on to introducing you to our next expert, Aditi Mukherjee Miss. Aditi Mukherjee is a principal of BHIS Pune, and she has over 20 years of valuable experience in the field of education. While she has been a passionate and caring teacher, as an administrator, she has been firmly result-oriented with a study vision. Her rich exposure to the Cambridge and the Council for Indian School Certificate Examinations curricula has empowered her, which is ISCE, has empowered her with a diverse and innovative approach as an academic leader. She loves playing basketball and was a district level hockey player. Her articles on education and modern pedagogy have been published in various magazines and newspapers like The Telegraph, The Times of India, Mentor, etc. She's often seen voicing her opinion with eminent panelists in some of the leading educational seminars. And today here we have Aditi Mukherjee. Thank you, Miss, for taking out time to be with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Neha. Hello, Dr. Natasha.
And I'm sorry because we lost on to, around 7 to 8 minutes in the first live glitch. We'll have to extend our session to that that much time more. So I'll request both of you to accommodate that, time gap. Let's start with today's session, guys. I know that you guys are, quite excited about this, to know more about this topic, and you've also sent in a lot of questions. I have those questions with me, and I can also see a lot of our moms writing about their queries on the Facebook Live. So mothers, keep doing it, keep commenting, keep putting your questions there. In the end of the session, I'll try picking up some of the questions from there and also include one of the mommy on our video. So let's start with the first question, which I think is a very, very critical question when it comes to managing stress and anxiety in children. Dr. Natasha, whenever we talk about this topic, the first question we all have in mind is, what are the common signs of stress and anxiety among young children as well as in teens? And how can parents recognize these signs?
Right. Thanks, Neha. I will like to begin by first sharing, some data and evidence with the audience. In 2022, UNICEF conducted a survey which says that and this data was based on the last 3 years, that 1 in 7 people in the age group of 15 to 24 years have at some point reported feeling very anxious or depressed. This is since the last 3 years. Then it goes on to say that in the age group of 10 to 19 years, 1 in 7 adolescents have been estimated to live with a diagnosed mental disorder globally. And then it goes on again to say that 1 in 6 children between the years of 5 and 16 are likely to have a mental health problem. Now, these are this is very stark data. These are worrying numbers. But what we need to understand and what this tells us is stress and anxiety are real. They're all around us. And it is impacting people of all age groups, not just adults, not just teenagers, but children as young as 4 to 5 years. To answer your question, Neha, what are the signs and symptoms? And as a parent or as an adult, how do I sort of, have some sense that my child is feeling anxious or is stressed in the very early years, like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? If the child becomes all of a sudden overly clingy, gets very irritable, becomes very temperamental, having extreme mood swings, crying too much. I mean, little babies will cry, but a 4-year-old shouldn't be crying, so much. Has trouble sleeping, or refuses food. All these are symptoms that the child is feeling anxious. Again, if your child has already grown out of is already, let's say, toilet trained, has learned to feed himself or herself, and then you see a regression, thumb sucking, bedwetting, wanting to use the pacifier again and again. These are serious signs of feeling stress or anxiety. Constantly complaining of a stomach ache, having stomach upsets again and again, which may not, have any direct sort of reason that you can figure out, eating out or something. Again, crying excessively while going to school or the daycare. This is for very young children. Children do have separation anxiety in the beginning when they start going to school, but we see in school that some children, and in a class of, let's say, 25, 20 children, there will be just maybe 1 or 2 children who cry a lot and who can continue to cry for 2.5, 3 years. These are children who need attention. If we move to, slightly older children, 7, 8, 9 years of age, then again, there are physical symptoms like trouble eating, sleeping, withdrawing socially, not wanting to talk to the parents, wanting to stay at home. All children at some point of time may not, say that I don't want to go to school, but if it continues to happen, and the child becomes very, very quiet, gets very, very worried before a test or a competition happening in school or any change happening around them, again, these could be signs of stress or anxiety. And then we come, of course, to the teenage years, which are, as it is, very difficult years. Children are undergoing hormonal changes. They're struggling to adapt to the changes that their body is bringing, which is already making, having a change in their emotions, a change in their, the way they think. Again, if you see that the child gets very, very aggressive, or I've heard of, sometimes parents come and say that a child just locks himself or herself in the room, refuses to open the door, or my child just sleeps for 12, 13 hours at a stretch. There is definitely something to worry about. Or if the child is having severe challenges in concentrating in the class, is very fidgety, can't remember things, and of course, constant complaining about ill health, but something very pronounced in anxiety is that they feel tired a lot of time because there's a lot of mental stress and it impacts the body as well. So constantly, if the child says, I'm fatigued, I'm exhausted, or the muscles feel very tense, then again, there is some sort of, it needs probing, it needs looking into. Again, getting very, very upset very easily, either with the parents or with the siblings or any other sort of, in the community or even in the school. But largely, these are the symptoms across the different ages that, could be signs of stress and anxiety in children.
Your voice in between, Natasha, was.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much clear. Yeah.
Right. So just to wrap up once again, I think towards the end, what I was saying was that any sign which is a change of behavior, poor concentration, inability to remember things, feeling very exhausted, fatigued all of the time, and being very reactive to people around them, whether it's younger or older, can be signs of stress or anxiety.
Okay, I think that was very, very clear cut, defined. I think very, very nice, indications you've given us. And mothers, if you are experiencing this in your household with your young kids or your teenagers, do let us know in the comments and we'll understand that, what exactly are they going through. Aditi, Miss, my next question is to you. What exactly are some potential triggers or say sources of stress or anxiety in children and teens? If you can just highlight those triggers.
Okay. So Neha, at the very outset, let me tell you that there is a slight difference between stress and anxiety. Stress is, yes. So stress is your response to change and to challenge. All right. Now, which day goes without change? What is without challenge? So you will feel a certain amount of stress, and that is normal. There is also something called good stress, So I think what you are exactly asking is when that is negative stress, with this distress. So here we have to, divide or, we have to find out what are the reasons of stress. It first comes to family. So a family that is very happy will rarely have a child that is growing up stressed or anxious. So this is very, very important. So abuse in the family, there's separation in the family. There are certain things, certain triggers in the family that, the children do not get along with a particular member of the family. This might this might cause stress or anxiousness in a child. The second thing that a child does is comes to school. The child will come to school, and therefore it's a very, very big role that the school plays in the life of a child. So we do realize that there are schools and there are schools. So we have to have a stress-free environment when there is a school. So too much of academic rigor, a lot of maybe consequences to wrong act, to have a very high expectations from children, which is not maybe aligned to the need of the child or to the should I say love that the child has. So if I am good at sports and then high expectations for academics, that creates stress. Peer pressure is a very, very big thing amongst children from age group maybe 4 to 5 to 18, 19 and even beyond. Change also, change in school, change in the surrounding, change in even a change in a teacher in a particular class can actually trigger anxiousness and stress in a child. The third thing that already Natasha has touched upon is on the changes of the body that a child will undergo throughout the ages. So a 3-year-old child will look something, and then there's 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. So, and then when the child gets older, there will be changes in the body and there will be hormonal changes. Now, society has already, and thanks to social media, they've already set a standard of beauty and so on and so forth. So there is that pressure and anxiousness. Am I looking good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I talking good enough? Is my hair long enough? Is my skin fair enough? All these things trigger stress and anxiety in a particular child, and which leads to either low self-esteem or insecurity, so which causes stress and anxiety. This is what we as educators see around the school. What else we've seen is also in a teenage that particular age where it's like 14 to 17 to 18, it's also the career challenges. What will I do when I grow up? Will I be successful like my father or like my teacher expects me to be? A lot of career challenges. Another most important and very, very sensitive thing that happens in a teenage is that they understand their orientations at that point of time. It is a 12-year-old that really understands his or her orientation at that particular age. And it goes on. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that go on in the mind of a child regarding his or her own orientations. which needs to be addressed, which needs to be talked about, which needs to be, open. The last and final thing is, I think the impact of social media on a child's life, which is very, very relevant today. We have already standardized a lot of things, and the influencers, and children are almost always on social media. The next thing that they do after they come to school or go back from school is, be hooked to the internet. So, anything, a movie, a video, a TED talk, anything creates a very, very high bar of expectation in the life of children. And they do not realize that most often than not, these are not real things. Yes. So why am I not the one who's pursued? Why am I not the person who is looked high upon? Why am I not so thin? Why am I not so, brilliant? Why can't I talk so beautifully? So ignoring the innate qualities and following something which may or may not be real creates a lot of anxiety and stress in a child.
Wow, that was quite helpful, Aditi Miss. And I think for social media, we need another session altogether, talking about it. I'm sure a lot of mothers can relate to this. Natasha Miss, Aditi Miss, my next question is to both of you. In fact, you both can definitely add a lot of value to it. What are the, some of the effective strategies that parents can use to help the children manage stress and anxiety, both, in short term as well as in long term?
Yeah, so I think the base is what Aditi said right in the beginning, that the environment of the child is really important. So it's critical that the home environment is a happy environment. It's a stress-free environment, because children are very sensitive and they're very perceptive, and it's sort of they absorb what the environment around them throws. So providing the child with a stable, happy, cheerful environment is, I think, the basis of everything else. There's a study conducted by the Harvard Graduate School of Education with young mothers, which actually has shown that the mental condition of a mother impacts the mental condition of young children as young as 1 year old. Which means that if the mother is happy and relaxed, especially with very young children, the children will also, in their own way, be happy and relaxed and not be stressed. The other thing is, and Aditi, you can stop me and pitch in with your thoughts, is teaching children coping skills. Like Aditi said, that stress is a part of our lives. There will be situations, there will be tests, there will be exams, there will be competitions and sports days and all of that. But how do we teach children so that this comes and goes, and this is a trigger for me to just carry on and perform better. One very effective method, and everybody talks about, is yoga. Is so beautiful because it sort of works on your mental well-being, and it also works on your physical well-being. So as young as possible, if it is possible for parents to introduce yoga in the lives of their children, trust me, this is it. It is a very strong tool which acts, for to be able to cope with any kind of stress or anxiety that may come later. Deep breathing. So we can tell our children that if you're feeling worried or anxious, take a deep breath a certain number of times, sit down and try and relax. These are small things, but and I've personally seen children who have used these kind of coping mechanisms, and these are very effective techniques. Again and again, telling our children that suppose the child hasn't done well, saying that that is over. Now let's see what we do next. Not threatening the child with all kinds of dire consequences. That if you do not get an 80 on 80 in your maths exam, all your playtime is getting cancelled, or you're never going to watch TV again. When we do this again and again and again, we create stress. So a lot of stress in the children's life comes from us adults, as parents or educators or forever. Again, a lot of research has shown that having a positive mindset and so important for mothers because mothers spend a lot of time around their children. Having a positive growth mindset really helps children develop resilience and coping skills. So let's say if the child does not do well in an exam or in a competition, and we have other expectations which are otherwise, saying to the child, okay, you really worked hard on this exam. Maybe the result is different from what we expected, but let's do this together and try once again. Rather than, and these are real examples that sometimes as parents we say, "Mujhe bhi maths nahi aata tha, tumhe bhi nahi aata tha, koi baat nahi." Then other things that very, very important. This is something we tell our educators, especially at the pre-primary level also. Over exuberance in commending the children, in congratulating the children. If the child has, let's say, achieved something or drawn a beautiful drawing, saying that, wow, you're really talented. Wow, you're very smart. And the child then understands that my parents are going to be happy only if I'm smart, if I'm talented. And the minute the child does not get that kind of feedback from people outside, or is next time not able to draw an equally beautiful picture, the child will think I am not smart, or maybe I'm not so talented, and that will create anxiety. So the words we use with children, the kind of feedback we give to them is very important. So praise them for their hard work. You really made a nice effort in making this drawing. I like the colors that you have used. You seem to be, what inspired you to do this? Instead of just commenting on, just on their characteristics, because then that becomes very critical. And this is really, really important. And we've seen how impactful this is on children in the sort of long run. Aditi, is there anything else that you would want to say?
Yes, like where you started, Natasha, family is very, very important. So, see, often we hear mothers saying, dare you not talk to me like that? So you are actually teaching a child how to talk, in the wrong way. So like we often say as teachers that children do not listen. They only see, they only observe. So, creating a loving, joyful, and invigorating atmosphere in the house goes a really, really long way to, actually have a stress-free, less anxious child. And the question here may be that, if I am having issues in life and I am having, problems with my husband or my in-laws or, whoever is there in the family, how do I work on it? So the answer is that we have to work on ourselves first. We have to work on our stress and our anxieties first to raise a child who is happy and who is without any stress. Otherwise, no matter what, no matter how much yoga, meditation, play you do, if the child is seeing abuse every day in the house, if the child is, the concept of love comes at a price, happens at home. You are doing this, oh, wonderful. Like, absolutely like what Natasha said, that, it's a brilliant drawing. And then, my love for you is because of the drawing. No matter what you have drawn, you are my child. There's no two things about it. Your performance and your emotions should have, it should be bifurcated. You do this and you've done this better. No matter what, you come to the family, you come to me as a mother, as a father, and you're still loved. No matter what you are. So we say one trusted adult in a child's life can change the life of a child. That can be a parent, can be a grandparent, can be a teacher in school, can be anyone. Olden days we used to see there would be a family person who would do the household chores. They would be the nearest and dearest person in a child's life. Often, most often than not, if you see our school children, they will come and complain against their mothers to their teachers. Don't they not know that, teachers come maybe second, not. So, I have an instance, I would love to say this. There was this signature where we had to ask a child to fill up a form and there was, the child forgot to sign. So she told the teacher, you're my second mother, sign it, come on, don't make a big deal of it. So, so what do I conclude from here? That she has entrusted this, work upon this teacher, that you are my second mother. We have not maybe told that. So very important. Third, again, like Natasha said, I would actually, broaden the horizon from yoga to physical activities. So Swami Vivekananda, do not teach the Gita, go and ask a child to play football. Yes. So a child who plays, a child who has friends, a child who sweats and comes back home after a very tiring day will have less time to be stressed. And the games field teaches you to lose. It teaches you to say, yes, buddy, you are better than me today, which will be a great learning experience for a child. See, when we did our education degrees, we heard of Emile, right? Rousseau, that many years ago, saying that leave the child to nature. So we also follow this policy in our school. We have weeks when we don't even take children inside the classrooms. We have weeks without walls. We teach them outside. So the connect with nature, because our children most often than not are either in air-conditioned rooms or in front of the television or the social media. Nature teaches us a lot of things. So we need to expose children to nature, have a good friend in his or her life, can be anyone, and a lot of physical activities, which will maybe not de-stress, but at least lessen the amount of stress that the child has.
I think wonderful points, Aditi Miss. And what I take, away from your and Natasha Miss's common answers is around everything is in mind. So it's all about what you believe is what you conceive and what you eventually see in your ecosystem. And that's what you both talked about, positive parenting, which I think is a base or foundation of entire thoughtful parenting series. So I think, wow, so wonderful. My next question, Aditi Miss, is also directed to you. You talked about stress and anxiety being two different things, which is quite insightful. If I have to ask you that, how can parents distinguish between, say, a normal stress or anxiety? And children experience time to time, a lot of anxiety, pangs, stress. How to understand that which are the serious ones, which are the persistent ones, which can affect our mental health also?
See, Neha, first and foremost, as I have already told you, that even stress is of two kinds. One is a eustress and one is a distress. So like today I have a Facebook Live and I'm not used to too much of social media. I will have a kind of stress. Tomorrow is my friend's engagement and I want to dress up well and I want to look nice. It's a stress. Day after tomorrow, I have a conference to attend and I really want to do well. It's a good stress. And that is very nice. So it goes away with the event, right? Now, just imagine that mental health is equal to physical health. When you have a headache, you realize, oh, I think I did not eat my lunch today. Or I think I was too long under the sun and, I was playing with my children. Or maybe I think I ate something which was not very good, and so that there's an indigestion. So you will see for one day. The second day, you have a headache again. You'll feel, really, but today I was, leading a good life. I mean, my day was quite normal. Why am I having a headache again? When do you go to the doctor? When this headache will persist. When the physical ailment that you have will be continuous and it will impact other work that you are doing. So what we have to understand is mental anxiety is normal. We all live in a very, challenging world. So once or twice it may happen. But when it is prolonged, when it is continuous, and when it is affecting your daily work, like you're eating, you're sleeping, you're not liking to do what you would love to do. You would love to read a book, but then you're not feeling like reading at all these days. Then is when there is a trigger. And that is the time when, you don't like to talk at all. You don't want to share. Sometimes when you're sad, you just go and tell your mommy, I didn't have a good day. You just throw your bag, you throw your water bottle and you say that, oh, my teacher scolded me. I did not expect that. Or my project was not selected for the final genius hour or whatever it is. That's okay. But a stress that internalizes a human is very, very, there's a red flag there. For a teenage, anxiety or stress can also lead to self-harm. They might have lose interest in life in general. So before that, there is a trigger. So we should actually consult a specialist here and not, just depend on counseling or talking or journaling or physical education or whatever we talked of before. Anything that is persistent is not going. And when I say persistent, it can mean 15 days, it can be a month, or it can be beyond. That is when we should actually consult a specialist.
I think a lot of things I learned from your answer right now, and I'm sure a lot of mothers also are taking notes, because these are very, very crucial, issues. And I think you highlighted some very, very, very critical points, Aditi Miss. My next question is to Natasha Miss. Natasha Miss, we talked about the impact, stress and anxiety create. But what are the long-term implications of the same? Are these, basically, are these behaviors, or say stress and anxiety on children, also impacting children's behavior? Will it also, impact the self-esteem and eventually their growth also? Is it true? Like, what are the long-term effects of the same?
Yes, definitely. If these symptoms persist, if they become chronic, of course they impact the mental health. But like Aditi has been saying, they start impacting the physical well-being also. So we have seen children who suffer from very high anxiety over, let's say, many months or like a couple of years. Their hair starts falling, or they start having issues with skin, having recurrent allergies. So, this is what we call like psychosomatic issues, because the mind impacts the body, the physical body as well. Again, persistent anxiety can lead to panic disorders in children. So overreaction, extreme fear for very regular normal things that sort of happen in school, like a child before just a class test. Some children will start crying all of a sudden, have palpitations, or start breathing very rapidly. That these are symptoms of what could be a panic attack. If this continues over a longer period of time, it can grow into depression, and that's very serious. But again, these are things that can only be confirmed by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And it is so important for all adults in a child's life that if we see these things happening, we must consult a specialist as early as possible. These are the very big ones, but at a milder level, these children then start having they have self-esteem issues. If I have poor self-esteem, I will not go out and want to participate in anything. So children tend to withdraw then, and these are not like regular introverts. These are behavioral changes that are very, very evident, and therefore it will impact everything that they do. And this continues into adulthood. Any of these issues which left unaddressed can become major challenges in adult life and impact your personal relationship, your work relationships, all of it. So these are very serious concerns. Poor academic performance is just, and that's something we focus on majorly. But I think it's the one that can be handled the most easily. It's the other ones, the personality changes, the hitting on the self-esteem, getting either very aggressive or withdrawing. These are the things, the panic disorders, leading to sort of depression and things like these are the things that are very, very serious. And in some cases, a child with poor self-esteem, especially children like who are teenagers, will either stop eating or they will overeat, which can lead to obesity. And we all know that continued stress leads to a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases. So definitely, these are serious issues. But again, these are, if we are alert parents, alert educators, alert adults around our children, we should be able to sense that something is amiss, something is different, is irregular, and catch it early and take specialist help if required.
I think the last point, what you highlighted, is very critical, Natasha, is that going to an expert, going to a counselor, which I think as parents, we keep avoiding, keep delaying. We always feel ki ho jayega. It's just a phase. It might be a hormonal thing. Our friends, we'll seek advice from our friends and fellow parents, but will not go to an expert, which I think is something very, very wrong. And I think all of us should take a notice of. When it comes to mental health, as adults also, we don't go to experts. So I think for kids, so we should definitely consider it as a red flag and go and at least seek advice. It might be just a minor issue, but at least go and talk to an expert. Preeti, Miss, my next question to you is around BHIS. I know that BHIS has been doing a lot to handle student anxiety and stress in the school campuses. Do you basically, if you can just let our viewers know, does your school has a counseling wing? What exactly you do in the school for handling all this?
See, primarily, Billabong High is actually a school that believes in stress-free learning. So even our examination system is designed in a way that it is stress-free. So we call it the assessments, and therefore till grade 4, or we do not even inform the parent that there is something like an assessment. So it's inbuilt in the curriculum. We have a lot of physical activities that that actually children engage in. We have all kinds of performing arts. We have theater, we have music, we have dance. And therefore, what happens is a child who is not very academically inclined also finds a venue, a place, or appreciation in wherever the child finds himself or herself comfortable. That is very important in the ecosystem of the school. Of course, we have a counseling deck that is called the Center of Wellbeing. Even the name is very beautiful. So we have counselors and we have special educators, not only for, special children, but also for children with needs. And it can be as petty as, I had a fight with my mother today. So, or I did not score well today. So we have 3 ways of conducting the COWB. A child can walk into the counseling cell, talk to the counselor, and like I said, one trusted adult. We also have the system of a mentor and a mentee for children. So we actually give a group of children to one teacher. And, there it's not academics alone, it's everything. They can just sit in the canteen and have a good talk to each other. They can just, discuss their future plans. They can just discuss what they're going to do, in the next assessment. They're just going to do what they are going to, dress up as on a fancy dress competition. It's absolutely on a non-academic, judgmental and should I say, there's no scale there. There's just talking. There's just conversation. So this child can go to the teacher, also go to the counselor. We also have the platform where the parents can come and tell us that, look, she's very happy in school, but I don't think that, that I see there's a change in behavior of this particular child at home. Many a times our schools are actually venting grounds for children. They'll want to come to school because they have friends and they have people around them who are supportive. So the parents all they can come to the counselor, they can come to the coordinator, to the principal, and ask for help and say that, ma'am, I think I need help. I think if counselor ma'am or a teacher talks to the child, she will open up better. A dip in marks, a dip in performance, a very high performer suddenly loses interest in studies. So the parent notices it and they can come. The third is when a teacher notices a change in the classroom. That is when we do a referral, we call the parents, we have a common discussion, and we recommend that this child goes to the counselor. It can be the school counselor, it can be beyond, and help is immediately given to the child. So this is how our COWB works. In most of the cases, we also have, the system of journaling which our children do. And so many things are actually found out when they journal. So imagine when I am journaling and I'm not writing something I'm writing something which is maybe a secret, but I know that my teacher will read it. I'm still writing it. What is the signal that I want my teacher to know? And I want my teacher to take it forward, maybe, So sometimes the child is not able to speak. She or he is able to write it down. So that is also a way where we find, and then we go to the child and we discuss it with the child and understand that, do you want me to take it up? So, I will again, sorry, I'm a teacher and I have to give you examples. There's a child who comes to this country after a long stint in the US. And the parents, while coming back, they are seeing the greenery and finding it very nice. They're seeing cows mowing and finding it, mere desh ki dharti and all that. The child is, really? This is where you've brought me to? You understand the exact culture shock that the child is facing. And the mother is feeling very irritated. Kyun ye desh ka prem isme nahi hai? Why is the child not feeling happy to come back to the country? For Christ's sake, he's not happy because he doesn't know, that this is his country. And so there can be so many spectrums to love, right? So, and we think that country love is a very good thing. Of course it is. I don't deny that. But then it has to come from within. You understand what I'm saying? And that is his essay topic. I still do not know why my mother or my father brought me back to this country. Yes. So that creates a scope, a spectrum for conversation. And then, we understand, we know the child better. We understand that when we are teaching maybe a poem or a science project, we can relate that to every single child. And there is where we call differentiation, right? So a school is a great place to understand the psyche of the child and, make it a happy place. And it's very much possible, let me tell you. It's very possible.
I really liked your examples, Aditi Miss. And as a teacher, of course, you can really share the real life experiences. And I'm sure mothers will also agree that the conditioning is deep rooted and you cannot change or mold a child in a day. And you very well, highlighted it with an example. But when Preeti Miss, Natasha Miss, when the bigger question is that how, as parents, we can contribute in easing out the stress and anxiety, issues in our children. Are there any effective ways which, parents who are watching us right now can use in their household and encourage their children to express their feelings? First of all, opening up, because if they've not started in the childhood years, I know it's going to be a little more difficult, but how can they still encourage the children to express better? And also, if they have any concerns, can they openly raise it? And if you can just give certain tips, both of you, that will be very helpful. And that will be my last question. And then I'll try taking up some questions from our moms.
Sure. I think this question will be also like a summing up of all that we have said. Having a happy environment is very, very important. The younger we start having conversations with children, giving them time is very important. I remember many years ago when my daughter was like 3.5, 4 years old, and I'd gone to a parent orientation in her preschool, and there was this psychologist who had come there, a very senior lady, who at that time said that, this whole conversation about quality time, she said, I don't understand this. Quantity is important. And what she said was, अगर आप अभी अपने बच्चों को टाइम नहीं दोगे तो थोड़ी देर बाद वो आपको टाइम नहीं देंगे. It's a habit that has to be formed very, very early. It is really important. So and the earlier you start, it comes naturally to them. Children will come back from school and say, this happened, this did not happen, I was happy, I wasn't happy. So that's one thing. The other thing is when children are talking to us, being non-judgmental, just listen and don't pronounce a judgment every time. Oh, you shouldn't have done this. The minute you say this once, child does not come back again, especially if that child is a teenager. Not commenting about their friends. We're talking about sharing. And these are also, peer pressure is a source of stress and anxiety also. So again, non-judgmental, not always giving suggestions. Sometimes they just want you to hear. So an open conversation is so important if you want our children to share things with us. Again, celebrating small successes. Your child has got like let's say a 4th position in the 100-meter dash. Celebrate that. Has moved from like a 68% to a 72%. Celebrate that. Celebrate each achievement. Talk to them about their strengths. If the child doesn't do well academically, does not win competition, is not a great sports person, but your child is, you say that you're such a lovely person, you're friendly, people like being around you. I can see that you take care of your younger brother. You feel so compassionate about stray dogs on the streets. Identify their strengths. Say things to them which make them feel better. So you're raising their self-esteem. A child with high self-esteem will not feel stress and anxiety. But most important is, I think, as Indians, we are very expressive historically with our feelings. So say to the children any number of times you want, we love you. I love you. I love the way you behave. And I am your biggest supporter. I am your backbone. You do anything outside in the world, especially if something goes wrong, nobody else may support you. I still will support you. And I will be able to resolve those issues with you. As a parent, I might say, I might scold you, but I still love you. And again, a lot of things have been written about this, the power of the physical touch. Hug your children in the morning when you wake them up, say good morning, whoever, Adit or Aditi, and say that good morning, we love you, and we hope you have a good day. At night, say it again. Trust me, very tiny things, very doable, but and hug them is so important. And a parent's touch sort of melts away a lot of stress and anxiety. We've seen that with our parents, and you will sense it with your children also.
Yes. Yes, Neha, just to add on, I will not repeat
Please.
what Natasha has already
I
said.
just wanted to add that when Natasha was talking about it, she had such amazing glow on her face, a happy glow, which I think has to come in when we interact with our children and we talk about them and be their biggest cheerleader. So thank you. Ma'am.
Correct.
Yeah, Aditi, please.
So not repeating what she has already said, and I so endorse that, I am the member of your team. I'm your greatest cheerleader. That is so very important. So all that she has said, and adding to that, I think this is a little bit, my observation, I would say, allow a child to get bored. It's very important for a child not to be with something or the other always. See, even when we do, our sessions with parents, suppose a child is crying, the first thing that we do is a video khol liya aur child ke haath mein thama diya. So where is the child getting to, know himself or herself and getting to know the surroundings? A child who is bored will think. A child who's bored will introspect. A child who's bored will be able to understand and sort so many things out, himself or herself. That is one. Second is, the language of parenting, I think, especially maybe, it's more specific to Indian parents. We keep saying, don't do this, don't do that. So, the only thing that happens is there is a resistance and there is a revolution later. So just an alternative. Can we do it this way? Okay, let's do something else. So it's a little difficult in the beginning, but gradually when we try, so we did this while we were in our grade 9s and 10s, change the negative sentences to positive sentences. So let's try that again as parents. Everything that we say, we are actually stopping the child, but the language becomes very, very important. Okay, I want to go for swimming now. Okay, yeah, I know. I don't you think it's very cold? Yeah, okay, you might as well. Why not skating now? It's bright sunshine. Let's go for skating. So the child will think, okay, I think it's really cold, so I can opt for skating. So that kind of a conversation with the parent, understanding that the child is a whole and not a little one who doesn't have any sense, and I'm the one who's full of senses. Okay. Third, and very, very important, is what Natasha has already touched upon, that we've forgotten to listen. We think that I have experienced everything. I know the good and bad of not only me, but also my child. Change that to storytelling. I have seen this work wonders. If somebody gets, poor marks, and if I as a principal say, I also failed in maths, they will really, this can also happen to a person who's sitting on that chair. You failed in maths. And yes, it works very well. So, speak about your failures to your children. Let them understand that you don't belong to, the Swarg. You are also common human beings who've passed the stage of 3-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, and then become the 40-year-old mother that you are. That storytelling helps a lot. I think if a family sits together. Okay, today you are going to tell me one naughty thing that you did not tell me so long while you were in school, and I'll tell you one, which I have done, which I haven't told you. And the husband maybe has smiling and saying, really, even I did not know this. So, this kind of family time, like Natasha said, it's not only quality, it's also quantity. A lot of these times where the child can come back with failure, where the child can come back with tears, when a child can come back and think that I have someone at the back, and therefore, even if I fall, there'll be someone to pick me up. I think that de-stresses. In fact, not only a child, I think it's valid for all of us. If we think that we have someone, a good friend, a good family member, a good partner, a good mother, father, I think we can all do wonders, right? So that's how it works.
Wow, you talked about something very close to my heart when I keep giving examples of Duryodhana and Arjuna, who grew up in the same premise with the same teachers. The only difference they both had was a fallback. When Arjuna had Krishna as his fallback and Duryodhana had Mama Shakuni. So both were amazing kids born in a good house, but both had different fallbacks, and that's why the destiny took them to different places. Very, very critical point, Aditi Miss, and wow, what a wonderful session. In fact, I was making my notes when you both were talking, as I always do. I think as a parent, I've always insisted on parenting where efforts are more celebrated than marks. Like Natasha Miss knows my twin boys. I take them out on the last day of exam and not on the day of the result. Because to show them that whatever they've done, if they've put in the hard work, I think their efforts have to be celebrated. And I think, Natasha Miss, you talked about 60% and 70% and academic performances in all your sessions till now, which I think is a very, very critical takeaway for all the parents who are watching us right now. We'd like to close the session on, including a mother here on our video who has a question around stress and anxiety in her child. So I'll quickly take her in, and then after her answer is given by experts, we'll close the session. And other people, keep writing your questions in the comments. We'll try to take it up later. Okay, so I think I have Vanita here. Vanita, if you can pop on the screen for us. Okay. Okay, yeah, she's here. Hi, Vanita, you can ask your question.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello, Vanita.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. This session was really insightful. In fact, the sum up, when you guys were summing it up, and I was like, okay, I had this question in my mind and I already have an answer. But I would still like to just ask one question, is that when you said that don't use the word no or don't or something. So there are situations where at times you have to use, like, I mean, for example, of late there is a trend going on with this drink called a prime drink, which is I don't know what's the euphoria about that drink, but then it is a very expensive drink. And I see that whenever I try to explain it to my son, first I told him, no, it's it's an expensive thing, why do you want to buy? But I see that whenever I try to put forth a no in a very subtle way, or even try to explain it to him, he still reacts, he whines a lot. And especially during his exams, I see that that I don't know, should I is it a stress, is it anxiety? I'm not able to understand, and at times I feel very helpless that I am not able to explain it to him well. So where is it that I am going wrong over here, if you can?
Vanita, have you tried reasoning it out with him? I mean, as a conversation. What we have generally found, as teachers, and I speak here as an amateur, not as a professional, that when you say no to someone, they will not do it in front of you. They will nevertheless do it and hide it from you. So that is what we do not want. We do not want our children to hide from us, be it a consumption of something, going and playing somewhere. So what I would maybe we can work it out in a way like, okay, tell me the reasons why you want this. What are the advantages? What will it give you? And I will tell you, not in exactly this words, but like you will know your son better, so how you converse. Let me also tell you why I am telling you no. And you have to be very, very strong with your opinion. For instance, today is Ram Navami, right? And many of us are celebrating it at home. There can be an agnostic in your house. There can be an atheist in the house. So allow the child to be atheist and just have the prasad for the sweet sake and not for the prasad sake, right? So he will have his own reason as to why he wants it. Then you rule him out. So put yourself into competition with your child. Let me see whether you win or your son wins. So you should be convincing enough to tell him that this is not good for reasons that you find. In the process, what will happen? You will also get to know, am I really doing something out of prejudice or bias? Or am I really, having some reasons? So when you are stepping it out in front of him, that, okay, I am telling you not to do this because of this, then you'll find, oh, I just fall short of, I just said one thing, really, so maybe it's not that bad as well. So it might as well change your perspective. So that is what, works.
If I can just add to that, Vinita, never, ever feel guilty about anything that you do for your child. Nobody can love your child more than you do, isn't it? Whatever you're doing is in their best interest. Children may not understand that at a certain point of time, but you know why you're doing this. So once in a blue moon, if something you say or do makes your child unhappy, it is okay. And children are very clever, that's the other thing. So pediatricians say that a child as old as young as 1.5 year, 2-year-old knows कि मैं रोऊंगा ना तो मुझे attention मिलेगी, right? They know this and they can be very manipulative, but so never feel guilty about it. You're doing it for the child, and there will be tough times. We will always not succeed in what we do. I mean, nobody's a parenting expert, trust me. Even the best psychiatrists, psychologists are not parenting experts. We live and learn. But be confident. You're doing a great job. And if once in a blue moon to make your child happy, it's okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Neha ma'am, for taking me on this, for allowing me to ask them personally. It was a very insightful session. In fact, I've been following all the thoughtful parenting, the entire series, and have been sharing it with my friends so that everybody, can take the advantage, can learn something from these sessions. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anita. Thank you.
you.
Thank you for being a part. So before we close today's session, I feel I should, start by thanking our audience. I know it's Ram Navami, so happy Ram Navami. And I know we have chosen a day where you're a little busy, but still you've taken out time to be with us. So thank you, everybody. I hope you're tuning in next Thursday, sharp at 4:30 for another session. And Natasha Miss, as always, you were wonderful. And we have so much to learn from you. And thank you, Aditi Miss. I think your answers were so relatable and your examples were amazing. I think this is what indicates that why BHIS is such a preferred school, because people like you are leading the mantle for it. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I'm leaving you with the last thought, which is by James Clear around anxiety, which says, it's a mantra for anxiety, by the way. Anxiety isn't you. It's something moving through you. It can leave out of the same door it came in. So what a wonderful, wonderful thought. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our experts.
Thank you.